Hi, welcome. My name is Emily and this is Gently Chaotic Knits. And that is a mostly knitting video podcast that I do roughly once a month. If you are new here, I was living in Seattle, Washington, but I don't say that anymore because I'm no longer living in Seattle, Washington. My partner and I are traveling pretty much full time, but we are taking little breaks in between our trips. And whenever we are back home in Oklahoma with our families, is a good time for me to sit down and give you all a little bit of an update on what I have been working on, what things I finished since I last shared, and a little bit, maybe just a little bit about our travels during that time period. Not a ton, but just a little bit. This travel period that we just finished was much more kind of fiber focused than a lot of the others. We ended our last trip by going to Rhinebeck, which is in the US, it's New York Sheep and Wool Festival, which happens in Rhinebeck, New York, and also the surrounding events that are around New York Sheep and Wool Festival as well. So we just finished our last trip with some time in New York. Before that, we went to Wisconsin to visit some family, and then we also were in Ithaca and like the Finger Lakes region of New York for about a week, just doing some fall activities and hanging out there. So I can talk a little bit more about that later. I do want to do just like a normal project update, so talk about the stuff I finished. I feel like I finished quite a lot actually in this last period, as well as what I've been working on that I maybe haven't finished yet, and what I'm planning to work on next. And then I will, because we did some more like yarn and fiber related events and stuff, I will do a little recap of that as well. I know I did go to Woolen Folk, and so folks may be interested in my experiences there. If you're unsure what I'm talking about, we'll talk about it later, but I will talk about that a little bit, not a ton, but I'll talk about that and our experiences at New York Sheep and Wool Festival as well, and also all the stuff I bought. So this is probably going to be the last big acquisition section for a while because I had a little bit of a freak out. I don't know. We don't need to get into this now, but I just don't think I'm going to be buying yarn and fiber for a while, at least not very regularly, maybe occasionally, but I'm ready. I think I'm entering a new era and I'm ready to start working my way through my stash pretty significantly. So anyway, let's just go ahead and get into it. I'm gonna take a little sip of tea and then we'll go. So finished objects. I did take a couple of notes just to try to keep me on track today, because when I do these monthly, I feel like there's more to talk about and I'm more likely to forget things, so I'll probably forget things. But finished objects, I have 3 finished garments for this month. First one is the sweater that I was knitting for my sister. So I don't have this physically with me. Actually, today is my sister's birthday. There are 3 dogs in this house and they're being a little bit chaotic, so hopefully you can't hear that, and I'm gonna try to just continue. Also, there's a chance we get interrupted today. I am in a house that other people live in, and Norman, hey, what are you doing? Sorry. It's a little bit chaotic here. I am gonna do my best. Lots of deep breathing and hopefully we can get through this. We may have to do part of it now and part of it later, and I know the light is also kind of bad, so deep breaths. We're keeping it together. But yes, I finished my sister's sweater. I was visiting her toward the beginning of, I guess it was the beginning of this month, so a couple weeks ago I was with her, and I still had not finished her sweater by the time we arrived. So I had to work on and finish and block her sweater all while I was with her. Luckily, I had enough time for that. We were there for about a week, but I did finish her sweater. So I was knitting for her the dad sweater, which is a pattern by me. I'm gonna have to keep sipping the tea. I knit for her the dad sweater pattern, and I used the original yarn for this one as well. I used a Aimée Corrie worsted in the colorway Lichen that I got from La Mercerie, which is my favorite yarn store that I formerly worked at on Bainbridge Island near Seattle, Washington. And I knit the standard shoulder size 2, which is the same as the one that I knit for myself. And I don't think I made any mods. I think I made the sleeves slightly longer for Hannah than I did for mine. Her arms are just a little bit longer than mine. So, sorry, I'm getting a message and I am waiting to hear from my mom for something, so I'm gonna check it. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so I finished that. I did standard shoulder size 2, knit on the needle that the pattern called for, US size 6 needle. And then the only mods are I made the sleeves slightly longer. My gauge was slightly different actually than it was on mine. So her sweater turned out just like slightly bigger in the body circumference than mine did, and like a little bit longer as well, but I think it still turned out really good. She has been wearing it already a couple of times and has sent me pictures, which just, I don't know, y'all. I don't know if I'm like just a little bit emotional right now, but that's getting me. I'm getting a little bit teary, but I know I've talked about this before. I've talked about this every single time. I'm going to talk about it every time. And if y'all are tired of it, then I'm very sorry. But I really, really love to knit for the people that I love. I really love to do it, especially folks that I know are going to love and appreciate it. And my sister is 100% that. Aside from myself, she is the other person in this world that I have knit the most for. And it's because I know that she loves it and she wears it, and like, I don't know, she appreciates it, and I love to make things for her. So her sweater was the last of my series of sweaters that I was knitting for my immediate family this year. Last year I knit the dad sweater for myself and for my dad. Of course, he did get the first one because the pattern was inspired by his sweater, so he had to get one first. And then I knit them for my mom and my brother and my husband and my sister, each for, well, I say each for their birthday. My husband's was not for his birthday, but I knit all 4 of theirs this year. So I finished my mom's first, and then my brother's, and then my husband's, and then my sister's. So I am now done with this project. I have finished all of the dad sweaters for my family, and I am really glad that I did it. I feel like I'm happy that I did it and also happy that it's over now. I think this is the most I've ever knit a single pattern. I have knit, I guess, 6 of them now. Which feels like a lot, but I love that we all have them now. And I have mentioned this before, but I just really love when I work on something for someone else. I feel like I do while I'm working on it. I like to spend time thinking about that person and the love and care that I have for them. So I definitely did that while working on this one for my sister, and I was actually with her for some of the time too, which I think was really special. So, but I finished it. I'll put a picture, or maybe I already have, but I can put a picture up now, or it's probably, I don't know. I will show you a picture of what the sweater looked like when it was done. It's a beautiful like grayish green color. I showed it on the podcast previously, so you can check out previous episodes if you want to see what that color looks like. And yeah, that was my first finished object. My second finished object was the sweater that I am wearing. So I actually finished this one right before, I guess I could have done this one first because I finished it first, but I finished this one right before leaving for our trip. Well, I wove in the ends later, but I think when I showed this last, I had already blocked it, but I needed to do the bind offs on the sleeves and the body, and I was adding like a little bit of extra length in the sleeves. I could have probably added a tiny bit more, but it's okay. I really don't like the sleeves to be too long. I like for them to sit like bracelet length kind of. So anyway, I should tell you what this is. This is the Cumulus blouse by Petite Knit, and I knit it in Explorer Knits and Fibers Boucle DK in their Pollen colorway, which is just a lovely mustardy yellowy green type color. This is my first time knitting with Boucle, and I really enjoyed it. It does go a little bit slower just because there's so much texture to the yarn, and like you can get your needles kind of caught in it, and I think it just takes like a little bit of extra time. And then I've heard folks talk about this before when they knit with Boucle, you really can't read your knitting very well. So it's not the kind of thing where sometimes if you get off and you're counting, you can just look and see like, oh, did I do a decrease last round or what? You can't read your knitting kind of at all. It's so fuzzy, but the resulting sweater is so good and cozy and worth it, and I love this. So I was nervous it was going to be too big because, again, my gauge was off a little bit. But I knit the smallest size, and because my gauge was off, I think I would have wanted like maybe roughly between the first and second size, maybe the second size, but my gauge was a little bit off, so I knit the first size, and then it was still a little bit bigger than I was wanting. So what I ended up doing is I stopped knitting quite a bit early, and then when I blocked it, I pulled it vertically, so I blocked it much more for length. And so just like making those stitches a little bit skinnier and longer rather than like the way that they were before. And so that actually helped bring it in quite a lot. So dogs are playing with squeaky toys and growling at each other. We're just gonna continue. So when I blocked it, I stretched it a lot vertically, and that helped a lot. So this is actually, I think, about 40 inches in circumference, and I have about a 32-inch bust. So this is roughly 8 inches of positive ease. I feel like it's relaxed a little bit since I blocked it, and it's maybe a little bit more than that now. But it is nice and oversized and cozy. Oh my gosh, you guys, the squeaking. What are we doing? Okay. I'm sorry. Which dog is it? Oh, okay. Thank you for bringing, oh, he brought me the toy. Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to continue. So again, I knit the first size. I don't remember my needle, but I know that I put it in the little card that I put on my previous episode. So I'll put that down here again so y'all can see what needle size I used. I think I went down a needle size or two from the pattern. And then what else is there to say about it? This was my Rhinebeck sweater. So I wore this on Saturday at New York Sheep and Wool Festival, and my friend Maya, who went with me to New York Sheep and Wool Festival, she also knit this sweater in a different color, actually. Same yarn, but she knit it in Explorer Knits Muck Cross. And so they're actually kind of similar colors. Mine is definitely more yellow and hers was more green, but we for sure matched. This was one of our projects for the match along, which was a make along that we were sponsoring that actually just wrapped up when we were there at Rhinebeck. And yeah, hers turned out super cute as well. And yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out. I feel like it's a perfect cozy fall sweater. I kind of want to make another one, but I don't have any more boucle yarn. But I don't know. Maybe I need more boucle yarn. No more purchases. I have lots of yarn in my stash that I love, and I'm excited to work through. So anyway, that is my second finished object. And then my last one is this vest. So here it is. I'll actually slip off my sweater. Sorry, the jingling and the dogs were trying to look out the window, which is like right here where I am. And as always with me, I feel like we have just a little bit of chaos. So, okay, let me slip this sweater off so that I can put the vest on so that y'all can see what it looks like on. I still have a couple of ends in the shoulder that I probably should have woven in, but I have not. Okay, here is the vest. So this is actually crochet. The stitch pattern looks very similar to like a knit stitch pattern, but it's actually crochet. My friend Nikki at La Mercerie actually taught both Maya and I how to crochet and like how to do the stitch so that we could make this vest. She had previously made it, and then we were like, we want one. So she taught us how to do it, and we finished our vest. So this was another match along project. Maya and I both made them, and then Nikki as well made a second one. So we all match. But we also wore these on Sunday, so the second day of New York Sheep and Wool. It was a little bit chilly, so I actually wore 2 long sleeve shirts underneath it to give myself enough warmth when we were there in New York. But this piece I feel like is just going to be perfect for, especially for fall, but really just layering with anything, like however I want to style it. I feel like you can style it a ton of different ways. I wore it with my midi length black wrap skirt and a long sleeved, well, I can put a picture up, a long sleeve striped shirt underneath, which I think was super cute. I love it with, I'm sure it'll be really cute over collared shirts, over dresses, with all kinds of pants. I feel like it's cute in this outfit. I'm wearing my, oh no, sorry, that's my phone. I'm wearing my favorite black and white graph paper pants today. So I feel like it's kind of cute with this as well. Anyway, I really love how this turned out. The color is so much fun. I'm definitely loving red right now. Yeah, I really love it. So let me tell you about the yarn. I used Rerum Natura Ulysse, which is the sport weight wool from Rerum Natura, and I believe the colorway is Amarante. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Norman, stop it. Don't kick things off. Okay, sorry. And then I held it with a strand of Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair in the colorway Claret. So 2 strands, so it does have that little bit of like a mohair halo. I was very nervous that this was gonna end up being not as much ease as I wanted, so I blocked it really aggressively. I actually blocked it when we were on our trip. So I brought my pins with me in our suitcase, and I like pinned it out on a towel. And I pinned it out really aggressively because I wanted this like really kind of boxy, oversized look, and I feel like I definitely achieved that. I did, I think, sacrifice a little bit of the length to get the width that I wanted, so it is definitely cropped. And then I was a little bit nervous about the vest is crocheted, but the edgings are actually knit. So I picked up around the armholes and also around the neckband and knit a 2x2 ribbed edging. And so it was like pretty wide actually after blocking before I put the edgings on, but I think the edgings kind of brought everything in. I was a little nervous too because I actually quite liked the depth of the neckline before I put the ribbing on, but I still think it looks really good with the neckline at this depth as well. It was just like a little deeper before, but I like this length too. And my camera battery is low and I'm very nervous about getting cut off, but we're just gonna keep going, and if we get cut off, then we get cut off. My friend Maya, who also made this with me, actually found a really great knit alternative that is size inclusive for this pattern, and so I will share the information about that pattern in the description box below. Let's see, that is all of my finished objects. So now let's talk about what I've been working on. So, okay, I am back very predictably right after I finished saying that my battery was about to die. My battery died. So we'll see how long we can last. I've got a little bit of a precarious plug-in setup here. So we'll see how long we can go. This may just not be completed today because I feel like I have so much more to talk about. But anyway, what I was saying is after I finished this vest, I switched over and started working pretty much exclusively on my Auer pullover. So this is one that I actually cast on quite a bit earlier this year, I think in like March maybe. And then I got bit by the teas and tanks spring kind of bug, I guess. And I just had like a lot of other stuff that I wanted to work on and that I was excited about, and so I didn't end up finishing at the time, and so it's just kind of been hanging out for a while, but I decided that I wanted to pick it back up, and I'm so glad that I did because this yarn, I'm so in love with this yarn, the way it feels, the color, everything, and I think this is just going to be the best, coziest, everyday sweater. Like I love when I knit, you know, more intricate or involved things, but the sweaters that I gravitate toward, that I want to wear every day, that I feel like go with more outfits, that I can wear with more things, are just like really classic stockinette sweaters. And so I'm really excited to have this one. I think it's going to be really good. So the pattern is Auer by Sari Nordlund, Auer, and I'll put it on the screen as well. And here it is, I'll hold it up. It's a bottom-up raglan, which I've actually never done before. This is my first time doing a bottom-up raglan. I've knit lots of top-down raglans, but this is my first time doing a bottom-up raglan. So if you've never done that before, what you basically do is you cast on at the bottom of the body, knit the body up until where you would want to join at the underarm, and then you do the same for the sleeves. So you cast on at the cuff of the sleeves, knit them up until they're ready to join with the body, and then you put all of the stitches for the sleeves and the body on one needle, and then you are working in the round and doing raglan decreases rather than raglan increases. So you're decreasing in between the sleeves and the body. I've never done this before, and to be honest with you, I prefer top down for a couple of reasons. There were some pros to doing it bottom up. The biggest pro for doing it bottom up is that when I was knitting the sleeves, they were not attached to the sweater, so it was really portable and nice. So it's almost like the portability of knitting a sock because it's just like a tube. So that was the biggest plus, was like, oh, I can just take this sleeve with me. I don't have to take the rest of the body. It's completely detached. The cons are you can't really try it on as you go because you don't know exactly where, like I could pull the body of the sweater like onto my body, but I don't know exactly where it, like how deep the armhole is going to be, where exactly it's going to end. So I don't really know how long the sweater body is going to be. Same with the sleeves. I could pull this sleeve onto my arm, but I don't know exactly where the bottom of the yoke is going to be. So I don't know how long the sleeves are going to be. So I was basically just trusting the pattern, knitting it to pattern. Of course, my gauge was slightly off because I used a slightly different weight yarn than the pattern called for. So I did like try to make some adjustments based on the length, and my hope is that this is an oversized cozy sweater. I can block it out to be the measurements that I want it to be, but even if not, like I think it'll be okay because it's supposed to be oversized. So if the measurements are not exactly what it's supposed to be, I think it'll be okay. But anyway, the biggest thing that I dislike about the bottom-up construction is just once you put the sleeves and the body all together on one needle, it's like incredibly unwieldy. It's just really unwieldy. You have so many stitches, which I know you have the same number of stitches like at the end of your yoke when you're doing it top down, but you don't have like the sleeves hanging off at that point. And when like, I don't even know how to describe this. I guess you can't really see it because I'm kind of past that point, but when you have the sleeves, which are 2 tubes, and you have the body, which is 1 tube, and they're joined at the armpit, and it's like the stitches are close to each other in the armpit. So your needle can't be like a big oval. It's almost like, it's not a figure eight because there's 3 sections, but it's like your needle has to stay close to each other, like close to itself at the armpit points. I'm not describing this well, but basically you don't have full flexibility of movement for your needle at that point, and you have so many stitches on it. And it's just, it was like, I really had to push myself to be like, get through this part, it will be better, because it was just kind of unpleasant to work on at that point. So I would say bottom up, I mean, let's be honest, if there's another pattern that I loved and I really wanted to do it, like I would do it again, but it's not my preference. For a raglan, I would definitely prefer to do top down, for sure. But I still think this is turning out really cute, and I can show you where I'm at. Should also tell you the yarn I'm using. So this is again 2 strands held together. I'm in my fuzzy fluffy era right now, and also my red era, I think. But the 2 strands I'm using are Life in the Long Grass Sport. I think it's just like their classic sport base in the colorway Barn, and Farmer's Daughter Fibers Odang, which is a Sari alpaca and silk base, like lace weight base, with in the colorway Pretty Shield. And I actually got that fluffy lace weight, the Farmer's Daughter Fibers, from, sorry about the squeaking, from Brooklyn General Store booth at Wool & Folk last year. So it was kind of fun to be working on it now as I was approaching going to Wool & Folk this year. However, we'll talk about that later. That was a whole thing. But here is the sweater. You can see I joined at the underarm right here, and then have been doing the raglan decreases since then. There's still a lot of stitches because this is a very, like, it's very oversized, especially in the like chest, shoulder, upper arm area. It's like very oversized. So I still have a lot of stitches, but each row I have fewer because I am decreasing. So I really think this is going to be good. We're leaving for our next trip in about, what day is today? Like 4 days. I would love it if I could finish this, but I'm also not going to like crush myself to try to finish it. If I don't finish it, I don't finish it. Like, it's okay. But I would love to finish it before we leave, because I don't like to leave things unfinished. And I also am like a one sweater type of person. I know I've had this one like stalled for a long time, but I really like to have one active sweater at a time, and I'm going to bring a different sweater project on our trip. So I would love it if I could finish this one before, but it may just not quite happen. I think I'm going to be close, but I may not quite make it. But I am knitting the smallest size. Again, this is a situation where my gauge was a little bit off. And so I'm not going to get the measurements of the smallest size. The pattern calls for a fingering weight and a lace weight held together, and I'm using a sport weight and a lace weight held together, so I knew that my gauge is going to be a little bit off, and it is, and that's okay. But I think it's going to fit well. It's going to be oversized and cozy, but I think it'll still be less ease than my Cumulus. So yeah, that's what I've been working on mostly. When I started working on it like a couple weeks ago, after I finished my vest, I think I had just worked like maybe 7 inches of the body. So I finished the rest of the body, and then I knit both the sleeves. Technically not quite, but I knit a sleeve in a day, one of these sleeves in a single day, because we had a really long travel day on our way back from New York. We had like a lengthy train ride, and then we had a flight, and so like a 4-hour flight. And I was 7 rows away from being done with the sleeve actually, but I ran out of yarn on the plane, and I didn't have it easily accessible to me. But I would have finished if I had the yarn, and I also was working on finishing up the first sleeve. This is the second sleeve that I knit in a day. I was working on finishing up the first sleeve in the morning. So if I had, you know what I'm saying? Like, I definitely had the time, and the amount that I knit that day was more than the single sleeve. So I feel like that counts. I finished my sleeve in one day, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, well, I mean, you know what I'm talking about, but I have this feeling in my mind that sleeves just take a single day to knit. That is almost never the case. I'll be honest, being transparent. It almost always takes me. No. Oh my god. That was incredibly startling and chaotic. I will cut out most of the barking, but we had someone come to deliver a package at the home, and that of course set the dogs off. Anyway, lots of barking. What I was talking about is that I have this feeling in my head that I can knit a sleeve in a day. Almost never happens, but there are a couple of instances where I have succeeded. If everything lines up perfectly, if it's a heavier weight yarn, if it's like a raglan sleeve where you don't have to go like all the way up to the shoulder, if I have basically the entire day to knit, those are the circumstances in which I can knit a sleeve in a single day. And I had a perfect storm of those things on this sweater on this trip, and so I did knit the second sleeve essentially in one day. So love that. That was really fun. Love to prove that to myself so that I can continue saying a sleeve in a day. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this sweater is turning out. I think it'll be done soon, if not in the next few days. I'll finish it shortly after I get back from our next trip. So that is work in progress 1. The other thing that I spent some time working on, oh, I completely forgot. I had another finished object. Okay, so as I was saying, I do actually have another finished object that I don't have physically with me and I completely forgot about. I finished the pair of socks that I was knitting for my husband. I finished those early on in our last trip, and he was able to wear them as well on the trip, so that was really nice that I finished those up. But then after I finished that pair of socks, I started on my next pair, and so I was trying to decide which yarn to use for these socks and had folks vote on like Instagram and everything. And the winner was the Magpie fibers. Oops, it's a little tangled here. You know when you have a center pole ball and the center kind of comes out and gets tangled with your outside yarn? That is what has happened to me here. So I'm not gonna fix that right now, but here is what the yarn looks like in a little cake. Look at that. Why? It's really bothering me. I'm not the type of person that lets things go very well. So I may have to fix this before I continue, because that is just who I am. And this is bothering me. Anyway, I'll try to keep talking about the socks while I'm working on this. Okay, I fixed it. It's all good. Okay, so this is Magpie Fibers Swanky Sock in the colorway Ghost Town. It was one of the ones I was considering for my October socks. And the pattern I decided to do is the Little Black Socks by Summerly Knits. And here is what it looks like so far. So this is one where you actually do a forethought heel, where you put the little scrap yarn in for the heel. So I've already done that. The cutest part of this is definitely the cables on the side. Like how cute is that? I actually was doing this pattern slightly wrong for a while. There's like a adjustment you have to make to one of the charts for the last repeat to put this like extra purl in on either side to make sure it matches on either side of the cable, so that there's like a little bit of a like a little gap there. And I was not doing that properly, and so instead of ripping it out, I actually dropped all the way down, probably like 4 inches down. I dropped all the way down, and then I used a crochet hook to like do the purls on the way up. Anyway, here is the sock. I love to have socks as a small project that I can carry with me for like if we're sitting and we're waiting at a restaurant, or I like to knit and walk if we're like walking through a park, or we are on like a tour of some kind, or my husband is playing disc golf or whatever. I like to have just like a small project to work on while we are waiting or walking around or whatever. And I like to have a sock. And the problem is with this one is that the cables are just like a little too much for that. I can do it while we're elsewhere, like while we're walking or working on something else. I can definitely do it, but it takes a little bit more like focus, and so it's a little bit trickier. So this isn't my favorite pattern to have on the go, but it's okay. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking about casting something else on for when we go on our next trip and do just like a classic vanilla sock or a rib sock or something like that, so that it's just easier for me to work on the go. I might do that. We'll see, but I love how these socks are turning out. This is the first one. I also got this really cute little candy corn stitch marker from a yarn store in Wisconsin. Look at how cute that is. So I'm just using that as like a little progress keeper. And yeah, so there's that work in progress. And then the last work in progress I have is a really exciting one that I cast on with my friend Maya. So we have been talking forever, and I know I've shared on the podcast before about doing a handspun Cinnabar shawl. So Cinnabar is a brioche and garter shawl pattern by Andrea Mowry, and I wanted to spin yarn for both the main color and the contrast color. So there's two colors, and I was frantically over our last little break here in Oklahoma because while I can knit, hey, don't dig that. Stop it. So while I can knit, no matter where we are, I can bring my needles and my yarn with me. Spinning, I am not a lover of the ways that you can spin traveling. That sentence didn't really make sense. I basically don't really do spindles, and I don't have an e-spinner. So stop it. This is my sweater. Don't dig in it. This is so chaotic. I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm doing my best to make it through this, but can you? I have to show you this dog. Let me just bring this around. This is my dog. This is my sweater. He will not stop digging in it. Also, here's another dog. He's not my dog, but he's also here. And they are the ones that are just absolutely wreaking havoc while I am trying to do this today. So thanks to them for that. Did this zoom in? Okay. Sorry if the angle is like different. What was I saying? So I was frantically finishing up my spin. Oh no, what I was talking about is since I don't do spindles and I don't have an e-spinner that I like take with me or anything, I can only really spin when I am with my wheel. My wheel is here at my parents' house in Oklahoma, and so in between our trips when we go back to Oklahoma, that's the only time that I can spin. So I was frantically finishing up my spin for this shawl when we were back in Oklahoma last time. And I finished just in the nick of time, and I got to bring it with me, and Maya and I cast our Cinnabar shawls on together, as well as our friends Ariel and Megan also were casting on as well. So we did a little video call, and we all got to cast on our shawls together. So that was super fun. I've not made a ton of progress because I have been trying to finish Auer. I do think I will take this shawl on our next trip. So, but I'm also trying to spin. I'm not done spinning for it. I finished enough yarn to start, but I still have more yarn to finish to like finish the shawl. But anyway, let me just show you the yarn first. So these are both hand spun. The main color is a 100% cream Rambouillet. And the contrast color, oh, you guys, I love this yarn. The contrast color is from a patchwork kit, which is basically a mystery bag of fiber from Hello Yarn. So a while ago, Maya and I, and also I am talking about Maya, I always talk about Maya all the time. She's what Maya made on Instagram. I'll put her information in the description box below. You should definitely check out her stuff. It's very cute. But Maya and I got two patchwork kits of these like big bags of mystery fiber, and then we did some swapping to just like get all the fiber that we wanted. And so I got all these like really pretty warm yellowy, pinky, purpley bits, and then I spun them all together. And so that is what I'm using for my contrast colors. So let me show you the shawl. I've just started, but here it is. And I love it so much. So you can tell there's like the brioche side and the garter side. And there's actually this bit down here. You switch which color is like the main color on which side. You kind of swap them so that it's like a little stripe. But sorry, it's like wiggling so much. I need to just be still. This needle. Ooh, ooh. I'm doing my best right now. But here it is, and here is the other side. And if you want to see, I know Ariel shared about hers. She also has a podcast called Airy Knits on YouTube. So I know I watched her last episode and saw that she shared about her Cinnabar as well. So if you want to see hers, she spun this beautiful like pink color for the contrast color, and it's turning out gorgeous. And then yeah, they're all beautiful. All four of them are so different and also pretty. So I am definitely in last. All three of Megan, Ariel, and Maya are farther than me, so I'm gonna have to catch up. But I do think I'll be able to bring this with me on our trip. I need to wind up my second skein of my contrast color, and then I need to finish spinning my second skein of my main color. I don't know if 2 skeins is enough, but we're gonna go for it. I have some other fiber I got to complement or to supplement if I need to. So yeah, that is my last work in progress. So that is it for the updates, for the project updates. So wow, was that a ride. Like, it didn't need to be that chaotic. It didn't need to be, but hopefully we're chill for the rest of the episode. So now what I'm gonna do, I guess, is just talk a little bit about our time over the last month, where we've been, what we've been up to, and then of course I will talk about the goodies, the stuff I got, and also our time at the yarn festivals, so the fiber festivals. So I mentioned that maybe I should just do my acquisitions like as I go through and talk about each thing. So like in chronological order, maybe I'll do that. So we first were in Wisconsin visiting my sister. We were there for about a week. We were just kind of hanging out because like my sister and her boyfriend were like doing their normal lives, and so we were just kind of there with them. We got to like do lots of cooking, and you know, it was actually starting to feel like fall then. It was like the beginning of October. It was like just the beginning of feeling like fall. So we did lots of fall activities, lots of fall cooking, and we did like some biking and went to the farmer's market and did like beautiful fall hikes, and altogether just like had a really good time. We went to there was a fiber mill that I was really excited to visit called Rainbow Fleece Farm, and Nafis and I took a trip out there one day, and I'll see if I can put a picture of like the inside of her little shop. It was basically just this one woman who like lives on somewhat of a farm and has 50 sheep, and oh my gosh, the sheep are so cute. I'll try to put a picture up of the little baby sheep too. They're so cute. But she had the most gorgeous fiber, and I did bring some home with me. Let me see. Sorry, there's probably going to be a lot of rustling, but I did bring some fiber home with me. I got 8 ounces of this beautiful, like, creamy beigey gray. So this is just a natural color. It's a BFL fiber, and I got 8 ounces of it, and I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with it yet. I have some gray, like darker gray BFL fiber in my fiber stash. I actually have 8 ounces of that as well, and so I'm wondering if I spun them both up and applied them together, if that would be good. I would make like a gray and cream kind of marl, I think could be really cute. So anyway, I got that there. She was the sweetest woman. She also showed me her like giant drum carder. Is it a drum carder or just a carder? I don't know the terminology, but this giant carder, which I can also try to put a picture up of, which was really, really cool. And she just was like a wealth of information. And so it was great to chat with her for a while. So that was the only like fiber yarn that I bought in Wisconsin. I got that little stitch marker, the little candy corn. And then we also visited we visited a couple yarn shops, but I knew that the fiber purchasing part of the trip was upcoming, so I tried to resist. So that was really good. We loved our time in Wisconsin. It was tough to leave. Just, I don't know, like spending time with family. I really enjoyed our time there. So after that, we headed to New York. We went to, we're staying in Ithaca, in like a little cabin outside of Ithaca for a while, for about a week. And we just did tons of like fall activities there. It was like apple season, so we did some apple picking. We did lots of like apple related tastings of like apples and cider and baked goods, apple cider donuts and all that kind of stuff. We did lots of that. It was like rainy at sometimes, but we were still able to be outside quite a bit. So we did like lots of hiking in the area. We did a little boat tour. We went to lots of waterfalls. It was so beautiful and picturesque, and we had just a lovely little fall themed week. We also did lots of like cooking and baking, because since we've been traveling so much, we haven't had the opportunity to cook and bake a lot, and I've really missed it. So this trip we did a lot more of that. And then after that, we actually went and spent one day at the National Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York, which was an absolute dream. That was like a bucket list item for us. I feel like both my husband and I are big baseball fans. So we went there, and we had to drive there in the morning from Ithaca. So it was like a little bit of a drive. It was about 2 hours of a drive. And so we were trying to plan out how long we needed to be there. And we thought, okay, if we get there so that we have at least like 5 hours at the museum, that should be enough. Like, you know, there's no museum I've been to that I've spent more than like 3-4-ish hours at. And I was like, I know I'm going to love this museum, but 5 hours is probably enough to kind of go through it. It was not enough. We spent over 5 hours there. It's a good thing we ate a big breakfast, because we did not want to leave. And we just loved it, and I would go back in a second. We didn't even get through everything that we wanted. I mean, there's so much there. It was an incredible museum. We just really, really loved it. And Cooperstown was such a cute town as well, so really loved our time there. And then we went and spent a day in Albany, New York, the capital of New York, and we did like a Capitol tour and some other just kind of like outdoor activities. Went to like a park, and that was great. And then after that, we headed south to Rhinebeck. So we were staying in, well, I guess this day we just kind of drove straight to the events. We weren't staying there yet. But anyway, we stayed kind of close by to where Rhinebeck and Indian Tangled and Wool and Folk were. So those are the 3 events. I guess not Rhinebeck, New York Sheep and Wool is what I'll say. So we'd planned to go to 3. I'll just take a step back. We'd planned to go to 3 events. My friend Maya and her partner were flying in on Friday, and so they were going to meet us, and we were all staying together and they're gonna meet up with us for the New York Sheep and Wool Festival on Saturday and Sunday, but because Nafis and I were already in the area, we decided we wanted to go to a couple of the events on Friday. If you're unfamiliar with what I'm even talking about, Rhinebeck or New York Sheep and Wool Festival is like one of the largest fiber festivals probably anywhere, but definitely in the US. And I went last year actually with some of my knitting friends from Seattle. And then this is going to be my second year. That was my first time going last year. So this is my second year going. So last year my friends and I went to India Untangled and Wool and Folk and New York Sheep and Wool, and we had a really great experience at all three of those events. And so I was like, okay, let's go to those again. So I brought my husband with me to India Untangled and Wool and Folk on Friday. We went to India Untangled first. And we did not have the first. So India Untangled has timed entry because they're responsible and want to make sure that it's not too crowded and that they don't have issues with their number of people that are in their spaces. So their capacity is the word that I was trying to think of. So we did not have the first entry time for India Untangled. So we got there a little bit early, but we were just kind of hanging out. We had to wait a little bit before getting into the marketplaces, and then we went through their like two kind of I guess they're like tents or like covered areas where it was raining at this point as well. And it was raining at times like quite hard. So we got kind of wet, but that's okay. But yeah, it was a really great event. We only spent maybe an hour and a half there. Just because it's a little bit smaller and it didn't take as long to get through all the vendors. I did buy one thing at India Untangled. I'll pull it out and show it to you. I got this one skein of yarn from the Red Pansy, which I have knit with her yarn before. I knit a pair of socks for my sister using the first colorway from her Monet Club, which is one of my favorite colorways I've ever knit with. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely stunning, but I just really love the way that she dyes yarn. I think it's very like watercolory and beautiful. And so I got her show colorway. This is her India Untangled exclusive colorway called Pumpkin Picking. And I know I'm not normally like an orange person, but on socks I feel like I'll do whatever. And I just thought it was so beautiful and like sunrisey. And I love a good like seasonal theme as well. So the name Pumpkin Picking really got me too. So I grabbed a skein of that, but that is pretty much, I guess that's all I bought at India Untangled. And then after about an hour and a half there, I mean, there's some really good stuff. Like there's some really great booths there. There's some beautiful yarn, but again, I was like, I still have a lot ahead of me, so I need to like rein it in. The Mitchell Woolco booth at India Untangled is always a favorite of mine. They have these bags that are just so cute, and I want one, but I resisted. So anyway, after we were done there, we decided to head to Wool and Folk. And I just want to say before like I even start talking about this, if you don't know what happened, or if you don't know what is going on with Wool and Folk, essentially like the event turned out to be kind of a disaster. And a lot of people were very seriously negatively affected. The vendors, the attendees, pretty much everyone involved just like had a very bad time. And so I'm going to talk a little bit. I'm not going to go into super depth because I feel like a lot has been said about this, and we honestly were not there for that long because it was kind of a disaster. But if you are interested, I think there is lots and lots of information out there on Instagram, on Reddit, lots of places where vendors and other folks are sharing their experiences about the event. So check that out. But I'm just going to talk about our experience there. And I think different people had different experiences for sure. So I'm just going to talk about what happened with us and not get into all the other stuff. But essentially, we So I had remembered that the venue changed. I think it was maybe a couple days earlier, they had sent out an email, Wool & Folk had sent out an email and like posted some stuff on Instagram about the parking situation. I guess there was essentially no parking close to the venue. So they had some designated parking areas that were close, I mean, not super close, close-ish by. And then they were gonna be doing shuttles from them. And so at first, since we were gonna get there later, like not quite when Wool & Folk opened, we decided to just go ahead and park at the farthest away lot that they were doing shuttle service for, because we figured that that would have spots and it probably wasn't worth it to go and like try to find parking closer. So we ended up just going, it was actually a Walmart parking lot that they were recommending. So we just went ahead and parked at the Walmart parking lot and we took the shuttle over. The shuttle was just like a large bus that was completely unmarked. There was no like marking in the parking lot for like where the shuttle was going to come or where to go. It was kind of a wonder that we found it. It was just like there were other knitters that we saw and we're like, oh, you're probably also waiting for this. And so we were able to get on the shuttle that way. But like the Walmart parking lot is large. And so if people went to the wrong, I heard of people who went to the wrong part of the parking lot and just like didn't know where the shuttle was or like how to find it, or like there was another bus that they thought was the shuttle and it wasn't anyway. So like that was a little bit tricky just to get started. And so then once the shuttle dropped us off, we got there and there was like a little tent where we scanned our tickets and we went in and it was packed. It was absolutely packed. At this point, it was raining. There were a couple of buildings, but most of the vendors, I would say, were in tents outside. It was impossible to find where anyone was. There was no map. I actually, when I was walking in, we walked past this building and I saw Aro from Aro Knits and Pearls. I saw her through the window and she was like waving at me and I was like, oh, let's go say hi to Aro. So I went around and decided like, okay, let's try to get into that building where Aro was. And I say try to get into that building because like going into buildings was not a simple feat. It was like, we like walked around to try to go in the building and it was the like just a line, a crowd of people trying to get in, trying to get out. It was packed in there. I was like, okay, I'll find Ara later, like not a big deal. Let's find the map. No map. We were walking to try to get into another building. Of course, like I say walking, it was cramped, it was tight. There were so many people there that we were just like slowly moving forward, like with people all kind of around us. And the person in front of, I was talking to my husband about like, okay, I have these vendors that I would like to go see. I had some vendors that I had my eye on that I wanted to check out. And I wanted to figure out where they were located. And the person in front of me was like, oh, there's no map. I found a QR code on a piece of paper that was taped up in one of the buildings that you can scan, and it says the vendors and like what building they're in. I was like, okay. So we eventually made it to a building. We're trying to go in. There's one door. People are going in and out the same door. It was just like, it was so many people in such a tight space. The first thing that I said when we got in the building to my husband was, this is absolutely a fire hazard. I mean, it was packed. You couldn't move. You were just stuck until the person in front of you moved. But I did find the QR code, scanned it, looked. They had like all the vendors listed in like these separate areas. They weren't listed alphabetically. They weren't listed by booth number. There were no booth numbers. It was also, there was no way to know which building was which and like which tent was which because there was no signage. So that was largely unhelpful. So at that point I was like, okay, I can't go find the vendors that I wanted to find. I just have to walk around and maybe eventually I'll find them. So we tried to walk through the building. It was just the worst possible shopping environment you could imagine. I know of a lot of people who didn't buy anything there because they were like so overwhelmed and couldn't get to the places they wanted to get to. I almost, I feel like, had the opposite problem. Once I made it to the front of a booth, I was like, I never know if I'm gonna make it back here again. I don't know if I'll ever have an opportunity to buy something again. If I made it into a booth, I was like, I'm buying something. So I actually ended up buying more than I expected to there because I was so stressed out and I was so like overwhelmed by the experience that I was just like, I'm here and I kind of like this, I'm gonna buy it. So like, that's not to say that I don't love the things that I bought, because I do, but it was like much less thought than I normally take when I am making purchases. Normally, like, I would go look at everything and then I would walk around again, and then I would go back if I was still thinking about it and I would buy it. Or I would decide not to, but this was just like, oh, I like this and I'm here, so I'm gonna buy it. So I had that. First, in the first building we made it into, I made it to the Wool Dreamers booth, which was actually one I knew I wanted to visit, and there was a specific yarn that I really wanted to get from there. And so I did purchase 5 balls of the Saona yarn from the Wool Dreamers booth. This is a wool and cotton blend. It actually reminds me a lot of the Candide and Robinson from Rerum Natura, and so I really wanted to try it out. Ozetta actually partnered with Wool Dreamers to make this yarn and like to design the colors for this yarn line. And so she has a couple of patterns that use this yarn, but also Sari Nordlund released a tea pattern using this yarn as well, and so I'm really itching to make that. So I got 5 balls. This is the colorway, this is actually the colorway Ozetta. And it is just a really nice kind of creamy neutral, which I really, really like. So that, I'm glad that I got in there and I made that purchase because I knew that I wanted this. So that was the first thing. I was like, okay, just make it to Wool Dreamers, get the yarn that I wanted, and move forward from there. So after that, we made it out of that building somehow. And then I actually did run into RO and got to chat with her for a while. And so she actually pointed me to some of the vendors that I was wanting to see. So I was like, okay, where is Explorer Knits? And where is Wandering Flock? And where is, you know, where's Magpie and everything? And so she pointed me to the direction of the vendors that I wanted to go to, which was really helpful because she'd been there since the beginning. And so I got to go in some of the tents, and it was so muddy, and like, it was so muddy and wet, and the whole floor was just mud. There were some booths that, like, it was almost like a muddy, wet moat in front of them that like you had to step through. Luckily, I was wearing my boots, my Blundstones, so I was able to do that, but my sweet husband was wearing his tennis shoes and he took a bad step and like his feet were soaked. And so it was quite difficult to get to all the booths that we wanted to. We tried really hard to make it through and at least look at all the booths, but I am not confident that I made it to all of them because I just don't know. I mean, there easily could have been some that we missed, but we got to run into some folks there and say hi to a lot of online friends and everything. So that was really, really nice. That was the best part of the event by far, was being able to see friends and chat and everything. I bought some fiber there. I found this really pretty fiber. This is from Supernova Dye Works, which I had not actually heard of before. They are from Michigan, and I bought this color, which I think is actually showing up beautifully on camera, and it's making me love it even more. But I found myself this whole weekend was just like really drawn to this kind of like periwinkly blue color. I just kept seeing it everywhere and I was like, I love that and I want it. But this, I just got one braid up. So this is just 4 ounces and it is 100% superwash merino. It feels really, really good. And the color is just really fun. The colorway is called holo there, like or I guess hollow, probably like holographic kind of. But I loved the blue and the yellow and the like peachy bits of this, so I had to go for it. So I bought that. And then I also bought, I made it to the front of the McMullen Fiber booth, and I fell absolutely in love with this colorway. And they had it on their Posh Sock base, which is a merino cashmere nylon, and so it feels really, really good. And so I bought, this is, the colorway is called Naughty Sheep, which is also just like such a fun name, but here it is. It's like a beautiful cream with like some light colored speckles. I'll try to give you a good look at the speckles. The light is all coming from one side, unfortunately, but some really pretty speckles in there. So I've got 2 skeins of this. I'm tentatively thinking of using this for the Doppio sweater, which is a new sweater pattern by Swanky Knits on Instagram. She did the Dear Duomo sweater as well, and this one is like a bulkier sweater. It's a I believe it's a top-down raglan, but you use 3 strands of yarn held together, 2 fingering weights and a lace weight. And so I thought this would be a really fun kind of base to build off of. It's a beautiful cream with these like gray and blue, so I thought I would like to have like kind of a creamy, light colored Doppio. So I got 2 skeins of this for that, with that intent. And I think that's all I got at Wool & Folk. So honestly, I did not purchase that much at Wool & Folk. So yeah, I don't think that there's a ton more to be said other than just like what a shame that entire event was. The accessibility was extremely poor. I cannot imagine being a person who like has accessibility aids or like mobility aids, trying to navigate that. Like it was really tough. And I feel awful for all the vendors. Like I saw yarn falling into the mud and just like, you can't sell that anymore. So like I saw that happening. I saw just like lots of people flustered and packed in, and it was dangerous and it was not a good positive experience. And that's really disappointing because I remember going to this event last year and it was so much better. There was so much more space. It was so much more casual. And there was like music and there was space to like hang out and knit, and there was food, and you could just walk around and shop and say hi to your friends, and it was really enjoyable. And then it just took a turn this year and it was really tough. So if you are interested and have the capacity to, I think a lot of the Wool & Folk vendors are needing a little bit of love. A lot of them did not sell nearly as much product as they were hoping or expecting to, and especially considering the booth fees, some vendors did not even break even from the weekend or from Friday from the event. So I know there's been a list of vendors circulating. I'll try to find that list and put it here in the description box if you would like to go and try to support some of those vendors. I think that would really go a long way. So yeah, that was my experience at Wool & Folk. And then that night we had to drive and drop off our rental car. So at that point, Maya landed and she and her partner came and picked us up from our rental car place, and we made our way to the place we were staying, got a little takeout, and that was the night that we did our Cinnabar shawl cast on with Ariel and Megan. So that was really nice to just have, after a long day, we just did a nice chill evening. The next day was the first day of New York Sheep and Wool, and we went, we were there like pretty close to when it opened. So this day it was just Maya and I at the festival, and then on Sunday our partners came with us as well. But Saturday it was just us. We were wearing our Cumulus blouses, our Boucle Cumulus blouses, and just like spent the whole day kind of getting the lay of the land, walking through all of the barns. I mean, it's massive. If you've never been, it's huge. There's so many vendors, there's so many barns, there's so many sheep and animals and food vendors, and it is just huge. So we were just kind of like, let's go through and like try to see everything. So we knew actually that we wanted to go to Natura, which is a, they do like bags and t-shirts and other like printed things. And it's actually, I got this bag from them at Rhinebeck last year, this fern bag, which I love. And Maya had her eye on one as well, so we wanted to go there so that she could get one. But I also, like last minute when she was checking out, I saw this bag from them. And it also has ferns on the inside in this like gold fabric and print. And I was like, I know I have to have this. This is like the most me bag ever. It's literally mustard and blue wool, like plaid, and then it has gold ferns on the inside. Like, what am I supposed to do? This is like for me. So I bought this bag. This is my first New York sheep and wool purchase, and I'm so excited to get a project in there. I actually think that my next sweater project I'm gonna put in here because it's like actually a decent size. It's pretty large, so I think I'll do that. And I love these bags too. This is the same kind of closure style to this fern bag. I love them because you roll the top down and then it has these clips and you clip it, and then you can clip it onto things. So you can even like, you can hang it on your wrist if you're knitting and walking or whatever. You can clip it onto your bag. It's really, really nice for that. So I had to get this one. So that was my first New York sheep and wool purchase, but we made it to the Natura barn, and then we just kind of walked around there. We walked in between the barns. We got some Brussels sprouts. The Brussels sprout vendor at New York sheep and wool is like my favorite thing. It's so good. I think I talked about these last year. It's so good. It's fried Brussels sprouts with garlic sauce on top. It's so good. So I told Maya we had to go get Brussels sprouts, so we went and got Brussels sprouts. And then we just like kept walking around. Other things that I bought on the first day, I think the only other thing I bought actually was, I bought some more fiber. Let me see if I can find it in my big fiber bag. Oh yeah, this one. Oh, I forgot a purchase that I made at Woolen Folk. It was tucked away underneath my other fiber. I also got this gorgeous red fiber from Coats & Co. I knew I was forgetting something. So this is Corriedale. It's just 4 ounces. In this, I think the colorway is called Saffron. It's a really beautiful, like rusty red color, which I've been so into right now. And so I was just like, I want to grab that and support them. So I grabbed 4 ounces of that. So anyway, back to Rhinebeck to New York sheep and wool. I bought a pound of this gorgeous fiber from Cece's Wool. It is a cream merino with these little bits of like red and mustard, and there's even like a little bit of green in it as well. And I just fell in love with this. So we looked at this. This is actually in the same barn as Natura. We looked at it and I was like, I really like this, but I'm gonna hang on for a second and keep walking around because this is like the first barn that we went into. And so later in the day, I was still thinking about it. And so Maya was like, do you want to go back and get that fiber? I was like, I really do. I do want to go back and get that fiber. So I went back and I got a pound of it. And then Jess from La Mercerie, who I also got to see both Friday and Saturday. And that was so, so nice. I had really missed her. But she also got a pound of this fiber as well. So we will match. And I'm not quite sure. Maya and I are talking about maybe trying to spin and knit a vest. Like a cabled vest, so I may try to do that with this fiber, which I think would be really pretty. I can't wait to see what this looks like when it's spun up with the little bits of color. So that was all I bought on the first day, and so I was kind of feeling like the end of the day I was like, I made a lot less purchases than I thought I was going to. I don't know, like I think there were so many things that I loved, but there was nothing that I loved that much more than everything else I saw. Do you know what I mean? So I was just kind of like, that's fine. I'm totally happy with that. And then Sunday we went back and I bought so much stuff on Sunday. I was just like, everything. I was like, this is gorgeous and I have to have it. And I think that the vibe at the fairgrounds on Sunday is a little bit chiller as well, because a lot of people leave and don't come back on Sunday. So there were less folks there, and it was just, it's definitely a more relaxed day on Sunday. And our partners were there, like Nafis was there with me, and he was wearing his sweater that I knit him. And I don't know, just like having him there meant so much to me. He was just like such an angel and such a sweetie the whole weekend. And you know, of course this is not like his favorite thing. Like, I mean, he would never like say that or be negative about it at all, but he like very sweetly, like he was with me at Woolen Folk in that chaos, just like being a champ and carrying my yarn, and like just like what an angel. Anyway, so he was there with me as well on Sunday, and so we were just, yeah, we were walking around, we were showing, Maya and I were showing our partners all the stuff that we saw. We showed them the animals. I gotta put at least one sheep picture up here. But we got to show them around, and as we were doing that, we came across some good stuff. So first purchase of the day, Maya and I both bought a sweater quantity of fiber from Feederbrook Farms, and there's other stuff in this bag, but if you saw my Instagram post about Rhinebeck, you saw me holding this big red bag, and this is the sweater quantity. It's BFL, and I'll just pull one of the things out so that I can show you. It's this beautiful reddish pink BFL. It's kind of heathered, so they're like lighter portions and they're like purpley portions, and it feels so good, and we both just kind of fell in love with it. And so we each got 1.5 pounds of it, and it may be a while before I actually spin it, but I'm unsure yet what I want to knit with it. I think Maya's already kind of decided what she wants to knit, but I'm unsure. I may just do the same thing that she's going to knit because I love to match. And I like I think she's thinking about the new, it's called Alvar, A-L-V-A-R. It's a pattern by Sari Nordlund that's in testing right now. It's got like tons of texture all over it and a nice generous folded collar, so I feel like that would be really good actually, and maybe I will just do that, but I haven't quite decided yet. I'm also considering some other Ozetta patterns. I'm not sure, so, but it'll probably be a while because again, like, I'm never with my wheel, so I can't spin that much. But anyway, I bought 1.5 pounds of this, and then we went into another barn, and there was some fiber in this basket, and Maya got down there and was like looking through the fiber in the basket, and at the very bottom she pulled out this one, and I was just so in love with it that I had to buy it. So I bought this fiber. This is from Dancing Leaf Dye Works, and it is 100% merino, 4 ounces. They only had one thing of it. I probably would have bought more if they had more of it because I am so in love with this color. I love this like reddish bit, and the blue is very much this blue that I was really drawn to this weekend, this like kind of periwinkly blue. There's like darker bits and lighter bits for sure, and then it also has these like little golden ochre bits too, which are gorgeous. And I can't spin. I wish I was gonna be with my wheel because this, I feel like I'm really itching to spin, but I have so many things on my spinning queue that I'm like really ready to spin. So anyway, I got that, and then my last purchase of the weekend, I did have the best of intentions going into the weekend. I had made a list, just like on the notes app on my phone, of some patterns that I had my eye on that I was interested in getting yarn or fiber for. and like the yardage requirements for them. And one of them is this wrap that I found on the Brooklyn Tweed website. I think it's kind of an older pattern. It's called Crosshatch, I believe. And I'll try to put a picture up here. And they did it in like a dark grayish black color and a cream white color. It's a 2-color brioche wrap. And I loved that, and I loved it in those colors, but I knew I didn't want to knit it in Brooklyn Tweed because it's not that it's itchy to me, but I just wanted something softer, close to my neck and to wrap up in. And I just really, I'm really wanting this wrap. Like I want it for the winter. I think it's going to be so cozy. I really want this wrap. So I had some leftover Gilead from the sweater that I knit for my partner, and it's the Fusane colorway from Rerum Natura, which is a really dark, like charcoaly gray. And I thought that would be perfect for this wrap, but I wanted to get the cream color, and I had my eye on getting the cream color at like at Rhinebeck. And I just kept, there was some that I found that I liked, but like it would have been really costly to get the yardage that I needed, or like it looked good, but it didn't feel right, or it felt good, but it wasn't the right color or whatever. So I was like, okay, it's fine. Like I can always buy something online or whenever I'm ready to knit it. And then like less than an hour before we were gonna leave, we went into this barn that somehow we had missed previously, and we found this fiber, or this yarn from Spin Away Farm, and it's a sport weight. It's 100% Italian merino, and I wish y'all could feel this. It feels so good. I had a lot of the other stuff that I bought was in this like big bag that my sweet husband was carrying. But this yarn I kept in my purse because I couldn't stop touching it. I could not stop touching it. So I got 3 skeins of this, just a really nice cream color, but it feels incredible. And I think it'll be perfect for that wrap. So I'm really excited for that. And I got a couple more balls of the Gilead to go with it. And I think once I finish my Cinnabar shawl, this is definitely going to be next on my needles. I want this so bad. I really want it. So, and I think it'll be fun to knit too. Really like meditative and nice. So anyway, that's it for the purchases, I think. I'm probably forgetting something, but that's all I can think of right now. And I'm running out of time because I need to go to lunch with my family soon. So, otherwise, of course, like it's not just about going there and seeing the yarn and the fiber and buying the yarn and fiber. A lot of what this trip was for me was getting to see people and meet people and hang out with people that I really like and enjoy, and like engaging with the community. So I did so much of that. I'm not even going to try to list all the people that I got to say hi to and chat with because, you know, it was just jam-packed and I don't want to forget anyone. So I'll just say, like, if I got to see you, I loved it. And if we got to chat a little bit, I loved it. And I am the type of person that, like, I love to see people and say hi and stuff, but also it can be like overwhelming and overstimulating and exhausting for me. And so I definitely had the feeling at the end of the weekend, like, wow, I am wiped. But I'm so glad that I got to talk to everyone that I got to talk to, and being there with Maya was just the best. And like having my little fiber buddy that we got to go and experience the whole thing together was so much fun. And I definitely missed my Seattle friends that were there with me last year though as well. Like, but we got to do a virtual knit night yesterday, so that was really nice as well. But anyway, I feel so grateful for this community, and yeah, I'm just like really happy to be a part of it. So it's one thing to like have a hobby or a craft that you really love, but getting to really engage with other people as you do it, I think is what makes it so much sweeter. So this was a really good reminder of that, and it was really, really nice to see everyone. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much my experience. next up, and I mentioned in about 4 days actually, on Halloween, we are leaving for South America. We're taking about 3 weeks. We're gonna go to Argentina first and go to Buenos Aires and Iguazu Falls first, and then we're gonna go down to the southern part of South America and go to Patagonia and do some hiking and stuff. I bought new hiking boots yesterday. I'm trying to break them in. My previous ones were like way too small for my feet, and it's like, I cannot do this. We are doing some intense hiking. Like, I cannot do this unless I get new hiking boots. But then of course it's like, okay, I gotta break these in before we go as well. So like trade-offs anyway. But then we're gonna go down, or we're going, we're gonna go down to Patagonia for a while and do some hiking there as well, and then we'll be back before US Thanksgiving. So it will probably be around Thanksgiving, maybe probably shortly after US Thanksgiving, that I chat with y'all next. We'll see what all I can get done. Oh, I was gonna talk briefly about what I'm gonna bring on my next trip, like what my next projects are. So I talked about Cinnabar, and I'm gonna bring Cinnabar. I was thinking about bringing the second sock for this one, but I kind of think I want something a little bit more plain. So I may pick out another sock yarn from my stash and bring that with me for travel knitting instead. I also, Jessamy, and I think she's Jessamy B on Instagram, but she is doing a little knit along for Handspun Muscle, is it Musselburgh? I'm not really sure exactly how to say it, but it's just like a really cute basic hat pattern, and she's knitting one with some of her Handspun, and so I'm kind of thinking about taking that on my trip as well. I have this first skein of Handspun that I finished. This is the first like real kind of full skein that I ever finished, and it's really thick and thin. It's really uneven, but I feel like it might be kind of sweet to knit it up into a Musselburgh and do the knit along. So I might do that, I might not. I'm not quite sure. We'll see. Maybe I'll go for it, but that I'm thinking about. And then I am gonna knit the Calm Down cardigan, which is a pattern I believe by Lily Kate Makes, with some of my friends from my Seattle knit group, as well as some of the folks from the San Francisco knit group area as well. We're doing like a little casual kind of knit along for that, and I'm using, I think I shared this yarn maybe on the last episode, but I'm going to use this light blue gorgeous Natural Decay yarn from Woolberry. So I got to swatch for that and get that all wound up and ready to go before our trip before we leave on Tuesday. But I'm going to bring that along, and that'll probably be it. I think that's plenty for that amount of time. Although I've been knitting a lot more on our trips than I kind of expected. There's just like lots of downtime flights and drives and that kind of thing. So we'll see. I don't know. This trip may be a little bit different. I may not get as much knitting done, but yeah, anyway, that's it. That's where I am at. So I appreciate you tuning in. If you have questions, of course, about anything that I talked about or anything, feel free, drop a comment or send me a message, and I'll talk to y'all in about a month. So I hope you do lots of knitting and watch lots of baseball. The World Series starts tonight, and I hope you have a great month, a great time. Bye.